On behalf of Deputy Chair Ann Schott and myself, I'd like to welcome you all to SWOG's Fall 2013 group meeting. Much has happened since we got together last spring in San Francisco. First, the SWOG Group Chair's office is now officially based at Oregon Health and Science University's Knight Cancer Institute. Now, those of you who know me understand I couldn't let an opportunity like the Knight Cancer Institute go unexplored. Unfortunately, my colleagues in Oregon did not seem very interested in my rebranding ideas, so rest assured, we will take a more professional approach to refreshing SWOG's name and brand. Next, our grant submissions aimed at continuing the funding of House of SWOG within the NCI's new National Clinical Trials Network underwent review over the summer. I have to tell you, there was some initial concern among my fellow group chairs that we might all be facing a red wedding type review, or an otherwise typical Game of Thrones-like reception. But luckily, those fears proved unfounded. And SWOG's grants, in fact, received glowing reviews, as the chair's office, in combination with the Stats Center, received the second highest average score. I'm especially proud of Dr. LeBlanc, as a stats grant application received a score in the teens, which I've never seen before. Now, I can tell you're all greatly enjoying the superhero and modern TV series related humor, but I read in our recent plenary reviews, which I carefully scrutinize after each meeting, that you missed Dr. Baker and his ubiquitous Jewish jokes. Now, luckily for you all, I happen to be Jewish, so I get a free pass to carry on this proud tradition and steal 47 seconds of your time. It just so happens this plane is going to Africa, carrying a synagogue's rabbi, cantor, or ritual singer, men's club president, and one congregant, and it crashes deep in the jungle. All survive the crash, but the group is unfortunately set upon by a tribe of savages. The tribe's chief gives them the unfortunate news they're going to be tossed in the stew pot and thus exiting this earth. But he does give them the good news they get one last wish before being put to death. "This is great," says the rabbi. "I want to give one last sermon to you all. I plan to use this experience to highlight man's inhumanity to man, tying it to the recent decay in postmodern spiritualism." "Sounds good," says the chief. "Oh boy, what an opportunity," pipes up the cantor. "I want to chant the formal Declaration of Atonement one last time to all present here today. The best part is ritual demands I run through the whole thing 3 times in a row." "Okay," says the chief. "This is a fantastic opportunity," shouts the men's club president. "I want to give one last appeal for holiday funds. My theme, strategic solicitation, succinctly specified, secures success." "Yeah, sure," replies the chief. Finally, the congregant looks at the chief and says, "Kill me first." So, the real reason behind this joke is Mount Kilimanjaro. As you know, SWOG recently partnered with the Livestrong Foundation, particularly in the area of adolescent and young adult cancer research. For the past few years, Livestrong has conducted what it calls its Survivor Summit, a fundraising expedition that takes cancer survivors and their supporters on a climb of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania and Eastern Africa. Several SWOG members have proposed taking part in the 2015 ascent on behalf of the Hope Foundation and of all those volunteers who paid it forward by taking part in our cancer clinical trials. We will hopefully work closely with SWOG members and patient advocates to make it an opportunity for social and professional interaction with our wider community of cancer survivors. If anyone here is potentially interested in participating, please contact me directly. Next, I have a bit of disappointing news. Because of the government shutdown, 2 of our most important podium personnel, Lori Manazian, Speaker, and Linda McClure, introducer of the Oishi Award, were not able to attend this meeting. Out of our profound respect for them and Dr. Oishi, we're going to wait to deliver the Manazian inaugural lecture and the Oishi Award rather than try and find substitutes. In the extremely unlikely event today's plenary thus ends a little bit earlier than planned, I do encourage you all to take advantage of this time to visit one of our roundtable office hours sessions that will be taking place in the Acapulco room across the lobby, and I hope we have better luck next time. So now on to the serious part of my opening, serious but not dour. As I stated, our NCTN grant applications were reviewed very favorably. Our Statistical Center grant was rated exceptional, and our Operations Center and Integrated Translational Science Center grants earned outstanding ratings. The National Cancer Advisory Board will meet soon, hopefully, to translate those reviews into positive funding decisions. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you not only to those who work directly on the grant submissions, but to all of you, because these stellar evaluations are a recognition of the high-quality work our members do every day, caring for patients and conducting the research that will improve our patients' lives. I'd also like to give you brief updates on several initiatives in these grants. This slide lists a number of them, all of which are well underway, many of which are being pursued in dedicated sessions at this very meeting. We have made substantial progress with our innovation and VA working groups, and I just returned from an NCI Livestrong AYA meeting where we proposed to a very diverse audience multiple steps we can take to further publicly funded research in the young. These, again, were well received. Here are more specifics. One of the initiatives is to work with our NCTN partners to reduce barriers to participation in trials involving rare cancers. To consolidate our efforts, we've established a rare disease task force headed up by Deputy Group Chair Dr. Ann Schott. I'm pleased to be able to say that when we announced we were forming this task force under Ann's leadership, we had a terrific response from those wanting to contribute, and the task force has more than a dozen potential members. The task force will identify clinical trials across the NCTN and rare diseases that SWOG can better promote in a variety of venues, including these twice-a-year meetings. It will also work with our committee chairs to identify opportunities and interests in rare cancers to help maximize the chance of developing those interests into actual SWOG studies. Finally, the task force will represent SWOG in NCI-sponsored meetings and coordinate our contributions to their initiatives in rare cancers. The task force has its inaugural meeting later today. SWOG's Imaging Committee marks its first birthday with this group meeting. To further our goal of integrating expertise throughout SWOG's work, the committee is seeking active and innovative members of SWOG's disease and research committees to serve as liaisons between those committees and imaging. Again, you can contact Imaging Committee Chair Dr. Lauren Schwartz with nominations. I was asked to put in a plug for NCI Match, which I am happy to do as it feeds in nicely with our ramped-up efforts to use translational medicine to drive our clinical trials. Match is a histology-agnostic variant of our own master lung protocol. It will molecularly profile 3,000 cancer patients with a next-gen sequence validated assay to identify up to 1,000 patients with solid tumors with mutations or amplifications in pathways targetable by existing agents. Patients will be assigned in parallel and serial phase 2 mini-trials, assessing their response, or PFS, to treatments targeting their particular molecular abnormality. While Match is being led by ECOG, its steering committee includes NCI and SWOG representatives. In fact, SWOG investigators are being asked to serve as disease-focused champions for gene targets as well as targeted agents. Breast Vice Chair Dr. Debu Tripathi is presenting a concept to the Breast Committee, and Dr. Tripathi will also serve as our group point person. So, if you have pathway or agent expertise and you want to promote an idea for one of these phase 2 branches, please contact him at your earliest convenience. I know you're all well aware of the changes to the group meeting schedule, and that these changes have been implemented to facilitate the working groups, minimize overlap, and increase leader-to-member contact opportunities. Interestingly, the duration of the meeting seemed about right to many of you, but the start and stop dates did not. In the old days, members were willing to miss clinic, but wanted their weekends wholly intact. Now there's a bit more support for shifting everything one day later. So, I want to raise the question for all of you to consider, though please don't answer right now unless you want to tell your neighbor your opinion. Should we look into moving the group meeting from a Thursday to Saturday schedule to a Friday to Sunday schedule? I'm sad to say we can't afford audience response meters, but think about the question over the next couple of days, and we will send you a brief survey when you get home from Chicago. You can also thus provide more direct feedback on the group meeting experience by completing the evaluation form at the back of your agenda book. One of the longest-serving leaders in group history has announced he is retiring from that role. After 28 years as chair of SWOG's Lymphoma Committee, Dr. Richard Fisher is stepping down. Under his leadership, our Lymphoma Committee, often in close collaboration with researchers from other groups, conducted numerous practice-defining studies that have extended the lives of many thousands of patients suffering from lymphoma. We list here the results of just a few of those studies. In this case, all results published in the New England Journal of Medicine. At the spring group meeting, we thanked Dr. Fisher for his contributions to the overall leadership of the group. Today, we thank him specifically for his expert hand in long guiding our lymphoma research efforts. Because of a rare overlap between a SWOG meeting and a major lymphoma meeting, Dr. Fisher could not be here for today's plenary, so let's thank him in absentia. Dr. Robert Orlowski, Myeloma Committee Chair, has graciously agreed to lead the search committee to identify the top candidates we should consider in selecting our new lymphoma leader. The Hope Foundation, SWOG's philanthropic arm, is celebrating its 20th anniversary. The foundation has done great things for SWOG and for cancer research in its first 2 decades, devoting $21 million to SWOG education and trial efforts, funding the participation of 75 investigators in our Young Investigators Training course, granting a dozen SWOG Development Awards and 10 Coltman Fellowships, and providing key support for our Latin America initiative. The foundation continues to evolve. The Hope Board of Directors recently voted to move to a governance model with both a board chair and a board president. Election of the chair will take place tomorrow. The board appointed Foundation CEO Joe Horn as president as of last month. My next few slides aim to update you on some of the many benefits SWOG has realized from the Hope Foundation. I won't be making an appeal for funds at this time, though I should. One of the most important goals we have as a group is training the next generation of researchers. Each September, we convene with a select group of successful early career candidates for an intensive 3-day Young Investigators Training course. This workshop has been a source of many important SWOG studies over the last dozen years, and a growing number of the current group leadership trace their own career paths back to it. This year's workshop hosted 6 outstanding young researchers. Sarah B. Goldberg of the Yale University Cancer Center is planning a clinical trial in non-small cell lung cancer, adding cetuximab as part of first-line therapy. Melanie Goldfarb of the University of Southern California is developing a study of survivors of adolescent and young adult cancers who had head and neck irradiation. Kenneth F. Grossman of the University of Utah's Huntsman Cancer Institute worked on a phase 3 adjuvant melanoma immunotherapy study with the potential to change standard of care. Claudio Geldres of the Virginia Mason Medical Center was at work analyzing care and risk in patients with testicular cancer. Soam Puvida of the University of Arizona Cancer Center is preparing a trial that adds ibrutinib to R-CHOP for patients with follicular lymphoma. And Ravi Sridhar of the H. Lee Moffitt Cancer Center and Research Institute is developing a study to validate a new predictive biomarker for patients with advanced gastric cancer. Drs. Goldberg, Grossman, Puvida, and Sridhar are here today. Please stand. And congratulations again. The Coltman Fellowship Program, established in honor of SWOG Chair Emeritus Dr. Charles A. Coltman, Jr., awards $100,000 in salary support over 2 years to engage outstanding young researchers in learning clinical group methodology within an academic and cooperative group environment. The Coltman Fellow for 2013 is Dr. Puvida of the University of Arizona, whom you just heard about. Congratulations, Dr. Puvida. Please stand again. The next Coltman Fellowship application will be in March. SWOG's Development Award has been redesigned as the SWOG Hope Foundation Translational Research Award. With funding from the Hope Foundation, this program has channeled more than $3 million over the last few years to early-stage research projects that have the potential to inform future SWOG clinical trials. Dr. Lee Ellis, Vice Chair for Translational Medicine, has worked with the Foundation to update our requests for applications for these awards and to refine the process for reviewing applications. They will now be accepted for 2 submission cycles each year, with the next round due March 15, 2014. You can read more about how to apply on the Hope and SWOG websites. One of the new criteria you should pay attention to is SWOGability. Just this week, our study section met, and awards were made to Dr. Omar El-Jatawi from the University of Kansas Medical Center for his proposal exploring the use of hyperbaric oxygen in umbilical cord blood transplantation, and to Dr. Robert Doble from the University of Colorado for his proposal evaluation of crizotinib resistance mechanisms to predict pemetrexed sensitivity. They were not able to set aside their service commitments at 1 day's notice, but we do look forward to having them at future meetings, and we will congratulate them anyway. I also want to thank the TRAA reviewers, Drs. Ellis, Hayes, Lenz, Mack, McConkey, O'Brien, Ray, Schott, Graylow, and Davis. Now, you may have noticed the name of today's plenary session is Plenary Part 2, which of course strongly implies there was a Plenary Part 1. That took place yesterday afternoon. If you missed it, and I'm happy to say not many did because that room was packed, you did miss an exciting session focused on integrating genomics and immunotherapy into SWOG research. Regardless of whether it's on Thursday or Friday in San Francisco, I hope you will all attend and help us keep our momentum. Now, beside running Plenary 1, Dr. Lee Ellis is leading SWOG's Innovation Working Group, which is focused on the science that will keep SWOG's work in the vanguard. To ensure innovation is a key value across all aspects of the group's operations, I've asked SWOG Executive Officer Dr. Craig Nichols, known for his ability to think outside of the box, to take the lead on fostering social innovation and engagement in the group beyond the scientific realm. He is here today to speak to us on the topic of leading innovation in the cooperative group setting. Dr. Nichols.